main character started to really annoy me. This was incredible. 5 stars. I had a few pints by that point, so I don't know whether it was actually good or whether I was just having a good time. So in this reading vlog, I am bringing back a vlog series that I started last year, where I read books from my Kindle to try and reduce my digital TBR. This month I am taking part in a reading challenge with Helen from Helen's Bookhaven, where the goal is to try and read as many Kindle books as we can, and it's like a competition type thing. Helen is currently winning by 2 books. I've only finished 1 book so far this month, which I actually don't think is too bad, considering it's only the 4th, I believe, today. Let me just double check. No, it's actually the 5th. It's fine, it's fine. I am planning to read 3 books, hopefully, and they're all thrillers that I am still interested in. I find that sometimes if a thriller stays on my TBR for too long, then I do tend to lose interest. However, these 3 thrillers I am excited for still. They're all part of crime thriller series. 2 are first books in a series, and then 1 is a continuation of a series that I started years ago. But what I like about crime thriller series is you don't have to read the books in order. You don't even have to read them close together because they all work as standalones, and they usually follow a team of detectives, for example, who are investigating different crimes with each book. So that's something that all of these books I think have in common. Sorry if you can hear the chair squeaking. I feel like I'm a little bit too far back and I need to move forward. Okay, hopefully that's a little bit better. Apologies if the camera angle has changed, but if I sit too close to the books behind me, then it makes this really annoying noise, and also it kind of pushes the books back, and it's just not a fun time when I'm filming. But anyway, as I was saying, I'm hoping to read 3 books in this vlog. The first is The Girl in the Ice by Bryndza, which is the oldest thriller that I have on my TBR, or at least on my Kindle. This is book 1 in the DCI Erica Foster series, which is set in London, and it does feel very grounded within that setting. There's been a few references that have made me think, okay, yeah, this is definitely set in the UK, and there's been a few things that have been mentioned which I feel are specific to London, so that's good. I feel like the atmosphere is being captured well. Not sure whether I've made the right decision reading this in the summer when it's really hot outside, because the book takes place during the winter, and the story opens with a young woman's body being found in a frozen lake in this London park. So the team are obviously investigating, but they're also having to navigate the politics of the situation, because this young woman was from a very wealthy family, a very influential family, and her father knows a lot of powerful people, so he's putting pressure on the team and the police in general. There's also been a lot of media attention, so I kind of like that aspect. I'm hoping that that is going to be developed well and that it's going to be relevant, and there's going to be some interesting discussions around that. It's good so far. I do feel like I've been gripped and I've been drawn into the story, and I'm intrigued to find out what's going to happen. So very glad that I finally decided to pick this one up. I think it came out in 2016. The other 2 books that I am hoping to read in this vlog are A Deadly Influence by Omer and Hope to Die by Cara. So yeah, thank you for watching this vlog. I will catch up with you once I have some more reading updates, but I have a feeling that I'm going to read this current book very, very quick because I started it last night and I've already read 100 pages. Good afternoon. It is just gone at 12 o'clock on Tuesday, and I thought I would pop in with a little reading update because I am now over 60% of the way through The Girl in the Ice. I reckon I'm actually going to finish it tonight, which is great. I love doing thriller reading vlogs because I feel like I read the books so quickly and it just makes me feel really motivated to read. So yeah, 2/3 of the way through this and really liking it so far. I'm getting 4-star feelings. I don't think it's going to be 5 stars, mostly because the writing has been a little bit clunky in places. The dialogue hasn't felt natural and it's felt a bit cheesy. So that's the only thing I'm not loving. With books like this, I never know how dark they're going to get, and so far this has had some graphic descriptions of stuff, but it's felt more factual and clinical rather than gratuitous, which I always appreciate. Don't know how I feel about the main character, and this is sometimes a problem that I have with thrillers, is I don't want them to focus too much on character development, which I know is probably an unpopular opinion, but I want thrillers to be more plot driven. I think it makes sense with a series where you're going to be developing a character over several books. I think it does make sense to give them a backstory, and this main character does have an interesting backstory. She moved to England when she was 18. She's from Slovakia, I think, originally, and she settled in Manchester with her husband, but he passed away around 6 months ago. So she's returned to work, and honestly, I don't think she's ready to return to work. But she's come down to London and she's been put on this case where this other DCI was in charge, and there's tension between them because obviously this guy didn't want to give up this case. He doesn't like being told that he's been pushed aside. And yeah, there's some characters that I don't like, but I feel like it's been very obvious that I'm not meant to like them. They don't all have a lot of depth, and some of the side characters I keep forgetting about, which it's fine because I'm not reading this for the characters, I'm reading it for the plot. But every time it tries to focus on the characters, I find myself losing interest. So yeah, this is going well. I think the next book that I'm going to pick up, possibly this evening, is A Deadly Influence by Omer, because I noticed the audiobook is on Everend, and even though this is a Kindle reading vlog, if I start it on my Kindle tonight, then I can listen to the audiobook tomorrow while I'm driving to the office. So hopefully that'll help me get through it a little bit quicker. And I do also really like listening to crime books and thrillers on audio because I find it really immersive. So yeah, this week is going well so far, and we're only on Tuesday. I wanted to check in with you because it's been a few days since I last gave you a reading update, and since then I finished a book and I've also gotten halfway through another. I always forget with thrillers how quickly I can actually read them, so we have a lot to talk about. But first up, The Girl in the Ice by Bryndza, I did end up finishing, and this I'm going to give a 3.5 to a 4 stars. I did like it. I liked the way that the layers of the plot unfolded. However, the main character started to really annoy me. The reason I like reading crime thrillers is because I like thrillers that feel logical and realistic, and this stopped feeling realistic when the main character started making these really reckless decisions, and I couldn't understand it because she's meant to be this really competent and experienced detective, and I wasn't getting that. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue this series. Obviously this first book does wrap up like a standalone, so I might just leave it there, especially because the next book that I've picked up, I'm already halfway through. It's called A Deadly Influence. I've already mentioned it in this vlog, so you already know the title. I will put it on the screen here. I started listening to the audiobook yesterday, and then when I got home I started reading the Kindle version, so I've been alternating between the two, and I really like the writing, I really like the audiobook narration, so this is ticking a lot of boxes. I also like the main character. I feel like the way that her character has been explained has been done quite well. She is a negotiator for the police. It's based in New York, and yeah, it spent a lot of time in the beginning explaining her process and how she approaches situations. For example, she'll ask a lot of open-ended questions to keep someone talking, to buy time, and all those little details, I think it's something is just clicking in my brain, and it's really good. It's really gripping. The case that she's working on is basically a young boy has been taken, and his mom is someone that Abby used to know. So when Abby was a child, she was raised in this cult. You get a few different perspectives, including Abby's obviously, but also the perspective of the kidnapper and the little boy who's been taken. So those chapters have been really tense and really anxiety inducing. You get an idea of why the kidnapper has taken this little boy, but you don't know the full picture. I feel like stuff has been deliberately kept from us, and there's still some pieces that need to click into place. So this could go either way, but considering I read half of the book yesterday, that should tell you how much I'm enjoying it. Good morning, happy Saturday. I feel like I need to apologise for the lack of B-roll in this this vlog so far. I literally haven't done anything worth filming this week, but I'm hoping to get some nice footage this afternoon. I need to pop to the library to pick up a book that I reserved. I reserved the new Ruth Ware book ages ago, and I finally got an email saying that it's come in. Worst timing because I'm meant to be only reading Kindle books this month and I'm going away in September, so I don't know when I'm going to have time to read it. I think I might try and fit it in after I've wrapped up this vlog. I do usually read Ruth Ware's books quite quickly, so hopefully I can finish it in like a couple of days and then get back to reading Kindle books. But speaking of Kindle books, I did end up finishing A Deadly Influence by Omer, and this was incredible. 5 stars. I think the way that I reacted to the ending of the book shows how much I preferred it to The Girl in the Ice, because when I finished The Girl in the Ice, I was kind of okay about continuing the series. I thought, okay, maybe if I find the next book for 99p on Kindle, then I'll continue it. Whereas I got to the end of A Deadly Influence and I immediately downloaded the next book. I've already started listening to it because they're all available on Scribd, or Everend as it's called now. But I thought that the way that the cult elements were introduced or explored, I thought that was done really interesting. I feel like this series is going to have an overarching plot running through it to do with Abby's past. The case that she's working on in this book does wrap up by the end of this first book, but I feel like the way the book ended, it hints that there's going to be a larger plot, and I am so invested in that larger plot. There were some reveals towards the end of the book that shocked me, and that's really hard to do. As someone who reads a lot of thrillers, it's really hard to surprise me, so I always appreciate it when that happens. I also like the way that this incorporated social media, and it was kind of a critique of social media, but without being victim blamey. I always find it interesting when authors choose to include real social media platforms within their books. I know that some people feel like that can age a book, and I do agree. However, I find it quite nostalgic reading books where it's clear that they're set within a particular time period, sometimes within a 5-year time period. The main social media platform of choice in The Girl in the Ice was Facebook, and that came out in 2016, whereas 5 years later, when A Deadly Influence came out, the social media channel of choice had switched to Instagram. I work in social media, and I've been working in social media for about 10 years now, so I can kind of map in my brain when each social media platform was the most popular, and it does feel nostalgic. So yeah, I'll be really interested actually to read some newer crime thrillers and see if they mention TikTok. The book that I've moved on to, Hope to Die by Cara does mention Twitter, I think. So already it feels a little bit dated, because even though everyone still knows it as Twitter, it's obviously not called that anymore. But yeah, I have now started Hope to Die, and I am really enjoying this so far. I was a little unsure in the beginning because I'd forgotten that one of the perspectives in this is told in first person POV, but occasionally it breaks the fourth wall as if the character is talking to you as the reader, and I hate that. I love second person POV. For ages I thought that I hated it. It turns out I don't hate it, I just don't want characters in the book to be talking to me as the reader. If they're addressing themselves or they're addressing another character within the book, then that's okay. But seeing the words, you know this, you know that, you'll find out about this later, and it's trying to draw you into the story, I actually find that it takes me out of the story. So that took me a while to get used to. I did double check, and I think that was the case with some of the earlier books, but I'd clearly forgotten about that writing work. But yeah, this is the 6th book in the D.I. Adam Fawley series, which is a series that I think I started back in 2020. There's a page or a few pages at the beginning where Cara reintroduces you to the characters and explains who everyone is, and the way that it's written, I think you can kind of get the gist of things anyway. It's been about 2 or 3 years since I read the last book in this series, and I haven't found it that difficult getting into it, even though I've pretty much forgotten all of the characters by this point. But we're basically following this team of detectives who are based in Oxfordshire. The case in this is really interesting, really intriguing. We're following the team as they're investigating after a shooting is reported at this isolated farmhouse. So there was a passerby who happened to hear a shot fired, and they called it in. The police show up and they find this elderly couple who are claiming that this young man broke into their home and they shot him in self-defense. But some stuff isn't adding up. The team are a little bit suspicious because there's holes in their story. And what I love about Cara Hunter's books is how you get the build-up, you get the initial setup, then as new evidence comes to light, the book takes these twists and turns, and sometimes they can be subtle, sometimes they can be really dramatic, and it's just so fun. I also like the way that multimedia is incorporated into the story. It makes it feel more realistic, and as I think I mentioned earlier in the vlog, I love it when a thriller feels grounded in reality. Cara Hunter actually wrote a standalone book last year that was told entirely in multimedia, and I really enjoyed that too. So very happy to be back reading this series. I can't believe it's taken me this long to pick up the 6th book, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the 5th book. I think I gave it like a 3.5 or 4 stars, but it went downhill at the end. So yeah, very excited because this could be another 5 stars. Can you imagine 2 5 stars in one vlog? I can't remember the last time that happened.
Been to California, never been to LA, so I'll stay home and write these songs, pretend I'll make it someday. My friends are getting married, they're all settling down, so I lay here, watch the ceiling fan go round and round.
I knew I should have updated this vlog yesterday before I went out, but I didn't, and now it's Sunday morning and I am tired, so we're going to try and keep this update nice and short. But my only plan for today is to sleep, watch TV and finish my book. So I think I'm about 70% of the way through Hope to Die by Cara Hunter, and I'm really enjoying this. The plot has gone off in a direction that feels a bit like a tangent, but it's a tangent that I'm really enjoying. Basically, we've now deviated quite far from what the original case was that the team were working on. It's all linked, so I'm sure it's all going to come full circle in the end. But yeah, the direction that it's gone in I think is really interesting. It does kind of hint in the synopsis something, but I don't want to say it because I feel like it's more exciting, it's more fun going into a book not knowing too much, especially a book like this where there are loads of twists and turns. I don't actually think you need to have read the first few books in this series to be able to read this. I think you could actually start at this point. The only thing you might be a little bit confused at is there's certain characters' backstories that you won't know, but it does a really good job actually of recapping who these characters are, where they're at, what's happened to them in the past. And there's also new characters that are introduced that obviously I don't know anyway, as someone who's been reading this series for a few years. So yeah, I am enjoying this. Oh, I don't know, is it going to be 5 stars? I was about to say I think it's going to be 5 stars, and I think I said that in the last update. I don't know if I am enjoying it as much as A Deadly Influence, but yeah, it is really good. I am hooked, and I don't have any theories right now. I literally don't have a clue how it's going to wrap things up. Cara Hunter is so good at plot twists, so I'm sure that this is going to deliver. It is almost time to wrap up this vlog because I have now finished Hope to Die by Cara Hunter. I will tell you my thoughts on this, but first of all, I don't think I actually explained yesterday why I was so tired. I went to the cinema on Saturday night to watch the new M. Night Shyamalan movie, and it was really good. I had a few pints by that point, so I don't know whether it was actually good or whether I was just having a good time, but yeah, that was why I was so tired all day yesterday, because I didn't get home until like midnight or something like that. I did manage to finish this book though, and I'm gonna give it 5 stars, which might seem a little bit generous. However, I can't think of anything I disliked about this book. I think some people might not get along with the structure of it, so basically basically this doesn't have any traditional chapters. On my Kindle, it usually tells me how long I have left within a chapter. However, the whole way through, it was telling me I had 4 hours left, 3 hours left, 2 hours left, 1 hour left, because it wasn't identifying any chapters within the book. It does have distinct sections though, because it skips around different perspectives and different characters, and you have multimedia intertwined. There are natural places where you can stop, so that's what I tended to do, but I think the way that it jumps around quite a lot might be off-putting to some people. The way that this wrapped up though was so good. It was more of like a quiet revealing rather than like loads and loads of shocking twists and turns, but there are reveals throughout the whole book where new evidence is coming to light, and I just really like the way that these books are structured. I think they're so clever, and I can always rely on Cara Hunter to surprise me. There were some reveals in this that I did not see come in. I think this is actually my new favourite in the series. I'm so glad that I finally continued this series, because up until this point, book 4 was my favourite, but I read the first 4 books within the space of like a week. I think it was around the time that the 4th book came out. I was just in the zone, so I read all 4 of the first 4 books back to back, and then I read the 5th book when it came out and wasn't the biggest fan. I think I've mentioned that already, but this has pulled it back for me. I am obsessed. It's reminded me why I love this series, and I'm really intrigued by book 7, which I think either comes out this year or next year, but I looked up the synopsis on Goodreads and I'm so excited. Usually with this series, I would recommend starting with the 2nd book because I think it has a stronger story and it feels a little bit more unique. The 1st book follows a girl who's gone missing, and I can still remember the ending of book 1. That's the thing. That's what made me want to carry on reading the series, because it went in this direction that I just was not expecting. But yeah, usually I would say the 2nd book is stronger, but now that I know that the 7th book is going to loop back to book 1, I'm really intrigued. So yeah, I'm going to stop rambling because I feel like I've rambled quite a lot in this update, and I am going to wrap up the vlog here. Let me know in the comments if you have any recommendations for crime thriller series. I really want to try Karen Slaughter's Will Trent series because I've heard that that's incredible. I think if I were to rank the books that I read in this vlog, this would actually be in 2nd place. I think I did still prefer A Deadly Influence, and then I would put The Girl in the Ice in 3rd place, but all of them I would recommend. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, but otherwise I will see you next time. Bye!